what you're saying really resonates with me, because what I don't talk about a lot, and some people know, some people don't. I mean, definitely the people know who have been with me from the start, because this podcast has evolved from like a journal of a revert to what it is now. Alhamdulillah. I converted to Islam almost 4 years ago, and I didn't have the environment that I wanted to have to become the woman that I wanted to become, and the life that I lived before. My environment, my connections, people I knew, just wasn't the right one to grow into that person. Like you said, I had to unlearn a lot of things. I had to redefine how I want to live my life and really regain that trust in myself. Also, being in a Western society, I think it would have been way easier reverting in like a place that is majority Muslim, or at least, Africa even would be way more diverse than anything here in Europe. Everyone's saying like, oh, Europe is so diverse, so many languages, but people are not very welcoming to people of other faiths. So I had to really redefine what it means for me to be a woman of faith, a woman of color, to find my space, to find people in my space, to find safe spaces where I could also express myself. And I think a lot of people knew that I didn't have that space. That's why I created it. And for me, it was also important to give other women of faith the platform to speak about what they do, what they are about, because you would always be put in that box. Like, let's just get a woman, a Muslim woman to talk about this, or let's just get a Black woman to talk about this, because they're all the same and have all the same opinions, right? Again?
Sorry, we have different experiences.
Very different. And I think we can learn so much from each other, just understanding how much we share, but also how much there is a difference and a diversity in how we live life, how we look at life, how we, just approach our growth as women. So that was really the like emotional way of starting this podcast and starting this journey and starting my brand as well, because some people know I had a podcast with Shahbata. She's a beauty, lifestyle, self-care influencer now as well. And she started out as a hair care influencer, natural hair care. And then she started wearing the hijab. So she had to rebrand herself entirely. And I really felt that like I had to rebrand myself from the scratch. I really started with 0 followers, 0 network, like literally all my LinkedIn gone, all the people I knew gone, nothing about me on the internet, on social media, nothing. And that's where I saw the importance of branding come in. So I saw that from like a space that was not very happy, but I found so much happiness in a space which I could control. Like I find when you say that, right? When you say like some people just don't know that there are other ways to live. And I didn't know that there are other ways to grow a network and find people that I could vibe with. Like I thought I had to go to networking events and like just be there 2 hours shaking hands with random people.
Those days are gone.
Gone. And I'm so happy they are. So I saw this, and that would like conclude my story for the beginning. Like someone said on Instagram, the fruit has to fall from the tree in order to create a new tree. So like you have to fall first to create something beautiful and something strong and something like really planted in the earth. And that's what I had, like that feeling is what I had when I started my brand. And some people might think that's very philosophical for just branding.
Branding
But that's why
what? I said branding is philosophical.
It is. And like I don't say this just like that. That's why I feel so much connection with the topic, because I saw the importance of it in my life, and not only in my career, but also in the people I meet, the company I keep. So that's so far my story, but I wanted to talk about your story.
So let's talk about it. I love that you have created, I mean, you said something so powerful. You said you created a space that you can control. And if you remember, like my definition of a vivacious woman is someone who knows they could start over and they could create something where they have ownership of that.
Yes.
Right. And especially as like, I mean, you are a Muslim woman with the hijab, like you created a space where other women who either believe what you believe or see themselves in you feel like it's okay to be outspoken. It's okay to have a podcast. It's okay to show your face and like be vivacious. Like that doesn't limit you, you know? And same thing here. That was kind of like my driving force. Like my story is I'm born in Egypt. I was raised in Kuwait, and living in Kuwait for a while. I mean, it's such a different culture than the US, right? I was always under the guidance of my parents, of course. Like in Egypt, you grow up, you get married, then you have someone else, and like it's always like I didn't feel ownership of my life, but of course, as a child, I didn't think about it, right? So we ended up moving to the US when the Egyptian revolution happened. And that's where everything changed for me. I saw opportunities. So for me, it almost feels like the opposite, right? Like I came here and I saw this world where I can, as a young woman, work and make my own money. So I feel like that was the first taste of freedom.
How old were you when you went to the US?
I was 19 when I moved to the US. We moved to Texas first. We moved with my parents. And I got my first waitressing job. And I was like, this is incredible. And at that time, I
That's
didn't
so
even,
American.
yeah. I was like, wow, I feel so like the girls in the movies, And I was like, wait, because in Egypt, you don't do that. Like you go to school, you study, and you graduate, then get a good job, right? And I'm saying good job in quotes. And then you, like I said, get married and that's it. Like you have someone else like either supply you with what you need or you go out and work. But like to me, to move to a place that the dynamic was completely different, right? So it's like a reverse like thing that's happening for me. I was like, wait a second, dad said that I now need to go help him out and go make my own money because no one's going to pay for me anymore. And I was like, that's incredible. I was working at all these restaurants. I was being treated not so well, but I was making good money. I was using my personality. And I realized that something about my personality was getting me more tips. I think that was just kind of like the first like thing that was like, this was like initial personal branding without knowing it was personal branding, right?
Yeah.
People would like ask about me. Oh, the girl with the curly hair that's like so bubbly and fun. She's like petite. Like, is she here today? Like, they wouldn't even know my name, but they would know how to describe me. And I was just
Okay, let me write that down. That's my personal brand. Thank you.
right. But it's like incredible how people get these feelings about us, right? Like you said, it looks like I'm on vacation, but it's a feeling that I'm creating around who I am. So anyways,
And
that's
it's
just
consciously as well.
yeah. And it's like it's just personal brand. That's what personal branding is, right? You're memorable. People remember you for certain things. Anyways, it was making me money because I literally wasn't the fastest person. I get so stressed when I'm multitasking. So it really was just that I would come back and check on everyone and make conversations and like make everyone feel loved and welcomed. And I would make a lot of tips. Anyways, I ended up saving a lot of money and wanting to go on my first trip because that would be like, I am becoming, right? Like Michelle Obama's becoming. I'm like stepping into my womanhood now. I made the decision to book a one-way flight to sorry, that wasn't a one-way flight, but that was my first solo trip to Southeast Asia. And I told my mom, of course, she freaked out. She cried. I think in my story, there's a lot of moments where my mom just
Cried out good or bad?
she's just upset because like I'm going to travel by myself. Of course I'm her baby and like, we grew up in a culture where like we're not doing that. So to her, that was like a shock. Like, why is Marina doing that? I was like, I promise you I'll be safe. I'll talk to you every day. I've researched everything. That maybe was a lie. But I went on my first solo trip and I just got exposed to a life of freedom out there. And I saw that there was a lot of people from Europe doing this already, like traveling solo, a lot of women from Europe, but I've never seen it in the US, and I've never seen Egyptian women or Middle Eastern, North African women do this. So it was an incredible experience. But again, I would always get the, oh, where are you from? Like, how are you doing this? How did your parents let you? So I realized that, okay, this is something in the back of my head. I want to help more people to do that. So, anyways, after doing all that, going to school, I went to school for fashion design. And when I graduated, I decided I want to become this famous fashion designer. I'm going to be working at big companies. And I ended up going to New York. I had no plan, but to me, New York seemed like the beacon of like fashion. Like, this is the world I want to be in. It's so glamorous, right? Um, and I came to New York, no plan. And then I networked a little bit and ended up getting a job at Victoria's Secret with L Brands doing fashion design work. That wasn't a good experience for me because I just don't fit into corporate culture. I realized it was more me than anything else. I felt like unaligned. I think that's the word. Just so in not alignment. What is the opposite of alignment? In alignment? I think so.
Out of alignment?
Out of alignment. Let's just say that, right? I felt so out of alignment because it wasn't matching my values. It wasn't matching my creativity. It wasn't matching who I wanted to be. Most importantly, it wasn't matching my personal brand, right? I wasn't vivacious there. I wasn't bubbly because I was seen as like, oh, silly, or like my word didn't matter, or what I have to say wasn't heard. And also, I mean, there wasn't really diversity, right? Like I think I was in the designer like team. I was the only woman of woman of color. There were other people who are women of color and men of color as well, but like they were in the production teams, like their production, because they have to communicate with overseas factories and all of that. It was a weird experience for me to be in corporate for the very first time and feel I'm not a shy person and I'm very outspoken. I mean, I've done a lot of service-based jobs like waitressing, for so many years. I
Yeah,
was an
you
organizer.
learn.
Yeah, and I like all my jobs that I've done throughout school have been about being outgoing and being outspoken. But Sina, it was insane. Like I was not speaking. Like I would literally be in meetings and I would disappear in the background. And that's kind of like that was like it for me. I was like, I'm done. Like I'm on the subway crying every day trying to get to work. And I'm like, this is not for me. So I had to
And that's a
go.
good sign as well for people, right? Like if something suppresses your personality and like turns you into a different human being, it's a good sign to
Yeah,
pivot.
pivot. Word of the
Get the
year.
hell out of there.
Exactly. Exactly. I just feel like a lot of us stay in one place and we get comfortable. But like you said earlier, we don't see other ways of living, right? And that is my mission. Like, literally, if I do anything in this life, my mission is to make other people see that there is a different way to live, earn money, earn respect, and like travel too while you're doing it. Like, I don't know why it's a dream. And I think because we had this era of digital nomads and, the beautiful blondes with their long hair and their hats going to Bali and living life. And we didn't see ourselves in that, right? We didn't see the Black girl, the Muslim girl. We didn't see anyone from any other cultures doing that and living. And we thought it was something for the elite, something for women who have their parents giving them money or whatever. And like I said, if there's anything I want to do, I want to show people that it's possible because I made all of my money. I've paid through because there's this assumption that I'm Egyptian and my culture is basically where my parents pay for everything until I get married, then my husband would maybe help me with that, right? But like my parents never like paid for my school. My parents never did that. So it's like, and because we moved here and we didn't have the capability of that, right? In the beginning they were when I was in Egypt.
Yeah.
This switch like made me think like, what about the women who don't come from a background where their family could help them or they have that support of a loved one, you know, which nothing is wrong with that, right? But like, if you don't have that, how do you build something for yourself, make that money and travel and go do whatever your heart desires, leave corporate? So yeah, that was the long story. I usually have the short version that I shared at the beginning.
I know. And that's why I wanted you to talk about the longer version.
Yeah.
And for me, it's so important that we talk about this because I think some of the things that you said, and I'm not trying to suppress this episode to one topic because this is just a beginning episode and we are going to keep chatting and talking. But I just wanted to kind of establish like the the conversations, so people get to know you and understand where do you come from and what is the intention behind what you're doing, because I think it's so powerful. And I think a lot of people, what you said is so true. Like I read the 4-hour work week and I saw these digital nomad pictures and I was just like, I know it's possible because I did it, but I can see a lot of people not seeing themselves in that. And what I want to create as well is transparency about money making, also the ups and downs of business, because people don't talk about this, right? It's always the Instagram story, swipe up to buy my course because you can see all the money flowing in my notifications. You see. But what happens if this doesn't work? What if you're launching your business and no money comes in the beginning, right? What do you do afterwards? Does that mean you're not made for business? No, it doesn't. It just means that you have a lack of experience and knowledge, and you learn. And we hope we can kind of share our story as well and journey and process to help you learn. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure if anything here resonated with you that you leave a like, that you are subscribed, and that you leave something in the comments that could inspire someone else too. Until next time, Assalamu alaikum.